They said no one could defeat Cyrus the Great. No one. He was the man who toppled kingdoms like they were children's toys, who built an empire so vast it swallowed nations in a single season. Kings feared him. Generals admired him. His enemies rarely lived long enough to regret opposing him. But then came a woman on horseback, her eyes cold as the steppe wind, her bow steady as the horizon. And she didn't just defeat him, she tore away the myth of his invincibility and sent him a message so brutal, so unforgettable, that it would echo through history, carried not in ink, but in blood. But before you picture some delicate medieval princess, draped in silk and jewels, think again. This was no courtly queen sipping wine in golden halls. Tomyris was forged in the saddle, her crown a leather headband, her throne the back of a war horse. She could draw a bow at full gallop, strike a target before most men could even lift their shield. Her people, the Massagetæ, were warriors by birth, nomads who lived free under the endless sky, owing allegiance to no empire. When the Persians tried to tighten their iron grip around her lands, she didn't just resist, she shattered their illusion that Persia was unstoppable. Now, it's the part that should make you lean in. How does a queen with no towering castles, no endless supply of soldiers, and not a single stone wall to hide behind, take on the most powerful ruler of her age? How does a woman without the so-called advantages of civilization, no siege, weapons, no fortified cities, stand against the man whose armies had crushed Babylon and humbled Lydia? Well, the answer isn't what you think. In fact, it's the kind of answer that makes history books uncomfortable because it wasn't luck, it wasn't mercy. Imagine you're Cyrus the Great for a moment. You sit at the head of an empire, so vast it takes months just to cross. From the golden sands of Egypt to the rich valleys of India, your banners fly. Your armies are undefeated, your reputation legendary. Kings bow before you without a fight. And yet, one day, the figure that ends your reign isn't a rival emperor or a mighty army, it's a 50-year-old woman on horseback. Her face weathered by the wind, her resolve harder than iron. Sounds absurd, doesn't it? But history has a way of laughing. At the pride of men, Tomyris was not just a queen, she was the heartbeat of a people, the Massagetæ. They were children of the Central Asian steppes, where the land stretched so far the sky seemed to bend over its edge. To outsiders, they were barbarians, wild, untamed, living beyond the reach of cities and kings. But to themselves, they were the truest kind of free. Born in the saddle, skilled with the bow before they could even speak in full sentences, they did not measure wealth in gold or jewels. Their currency was freedom, and freedom was not something they would bargain away. Cyrus, however, saw their lands as a missing piece in his empire's crown. At first, he played the role of the courteous conqueror. Marriage proposals were sent. To Tomyris, not out of romance, but as a velvet-gloved chain meant to bind her people to him. She refused with dignity, standing her ground without insult. But Cyrus was not a man accustomed to hearing no. What he could not win with flattery, he would take with cunning. He set a trap, a lavish banquet, heavy with wine, a drink the Massagetæ were unfamiliar with. Her son, the crown prince, was invited under the pretense of diplomacy. When the prince's senses dulled under the strong drink, Persian soldiers closed in, capturing him with ease. What Cyrus expected was to parade the young man as a living trophy, a symbol of his dominance. What he got instead was a corpse. The prince, unwilling to bear the shame of captivity, took his own life. And that was Cyrus's first and last mistake. Because from that moment, Tomyris wasn't just a queen defending her people. She became a storm, moving with a singular purpose. This wasn't about pride anymore. It wasn't about territory. This was personal. She wasn't coming merely for revenge. She was coming for the end of Persia's king. And nothing in heaven or earth was going to stand in her way. She sent him a message as sharp as an arrowhead. Give me my son back and leave my lands, or I will give you your fill of blood. No flowery language, no diplomacy, just the cold certainty of a promise. Cyrus read it and ignored it. Perhaps he thought her a grieving mother whose rage would fade. Perhaps he believed his army's size made him untouchable. Thought it would be the last miscalculation of his life. Tomyris, like all great tacticians, knew that to catch a predator, you must make it believe you are prey. Using the same tactic Cyrus had used against her, she feigned weakness. Her forces appeared scattered, vulnerable, inviting the Persians to strike. Cyrus took the bait. His army advanced into the open steppe, their confidence swelling, till the trap slammed shut. From every direction, the Massagetes rode in thunder in their hooves, death in their hands. Arrows darkened the sky, cutting down soldiers before they could even raise their shields. Steppe swords and spears flashed in the sun, finding every gap in Persian armor. The battlefield became a storm of dust, screams, and blood. And when the chaos finally stilled, the unthinkable had happened. Cyrus, the great conqueror of nations, lay dead in the dirt. But Tomyris' story didn't end with his death. This is where history turns into legend. She ordered his body found, his head severed from his shoulders. And then, in a gesture as savage as it was symbolic, she had the head dropped into a skin bag filled with blood. "Drink your fill," she told the lifeless face. It wasn't mindless cruelty. It was justice, delivered in the only language Cyrus had ever truly understood power. With that act, she didn't just kill a man, she killed the myth of his invincibility. And somewhere in the vast silence of the steppe, the wind carried her message. No empire, no matter how great, can break a people who refuse to kneel. Now pause for a moment. Does this sound like some kind of epic fairy tale? Because if it does, it's the sort your grandmother might whisper by the fire, not to lull you to sleep, but to make you sit up straight and remember that every boundary in life exists for a reason. This isn't a story spun to entertain children. It's a history lesson written in steel, in courage, and in the cost of crossing the wrong person. Tomyris' story was never just about vengeance. Yes, she avenged her son, but beneath the blood and the battle cries lies something deeper. Her fight was about dignity. The dignity of a people who lived free under the sky, answering to no king but the horizon itself, and that fight standing against impossible odds to protect what makes life worth living isn't just a warrior's duty. It's a human duty, across cultures and across faiths. History has always measured great leaders not by the weight of their gold or the reach of their armies, but by the way they upheld justice, especially when it came to those who could not defend themselves. In Islamic tradition, one story stands like a beacon. Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab, one of the most powerful men on earth at the time, once walked the streets of his city at night, unseen and unguarded. He heard the sound of a child crying from hunger. He didn't send soldiers. He didn't call for servants. He went to the storehouse himself, carried a sack of flour on his back, and personally cooked a meal for that family. Why? Because true leadership doesn't hide behind power. It kneels beside the hungry. Tom lived by that same principle. She did not conquer to expand her wealth. She did not enslave to glorify her name. Her wars were not for vanity, were for survival. She only drew her sword when the freedom of her people was in danger. And when she finally struck down Cyrus, it wasn't for her own glory. It was because he crossed the line that no true leader, no honorable ruler should ever cross. Her victory was a message across time. Power without justice is nothing but tyranny, and dignity once defended is worth more than all the empires on earth. But here's the twist. History remembers Cyrus as the great, the builder of empires, the ruler of millions. Yet in the same breath, it remembers Tomyris as the woman who brought him down. One name is carved in stone for his conquests, the other for ending them. So, who really wrote the final chapter? Is it the king who believed no one could touch him, or the queen who proved him wrong? The victory of Tomyris didn't just echo across the windswept steppes. Sit thundered across the centuries. Her name became a torch for anyone standing in the shadow of a giant. And yes, that includes you, because no matter how small or powerless you think you are, no matter how vast the odds stacked against your, remember this? Cyrus had an empire. Tomyris had a cause. Guess who history crowned as the victor? Her life is more than a battlefield legend. It's a reminder that in a world obsessed with raw strengths, armies, wealth, status, moral clarity can cut sharper than any blade. Strength may build kingdoms, but it is purpose that topples them. Whether you're leading a nation, guiding a family, or simply steering your own life, the choice remains the same: rule for yourself or stand for others. One will fade into dust, the other will echo for centuries, like the gallop of a warhorse. Across the endless steppe, and the question you need to ask yourself is this: when history remembers you, will it be for what you took or for what you stood for? If stories like Tomyris light something inside you believe that history isn't just a string of dates and battles, but a mirror reflecting the choices we face every single day, then don't just watch and move on. Hit that subscribe button and join us, because here we don't just tell the past, we make it speak, and we let its lessons challenge us in the present. And maybe that's why Tomyris' story refuses to fade. It's not just an account of a queen on horseback, it's the hope that no matter how vast the empire we face, no matter how impossible the odds, there's always a way to ride in, head held high, and change the ending. It's the belief that courage, when bound to justice, can outlive any crown. So, let me leave you with this. When the book of history turns to your chapter, what will it say? Will it remember what you took? Or will it remember what you stood for? Because in the end, that choice, that single decision is what will echo long after the dust has covered our names.